Their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Supernatural, metaphysical, paranormal. You know, all those things you've been wondering about? Are you ready to go deeper into the realms of the unknown? I hope you've got your walking shoes on, because life is an adventure, and this is the journey. Come on, let's go. Hello and welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Jen Cruz, your host tonight, and this is the Journey Radio Show. We're showing up as the She-Squatchers again tonight, so I've got my trusty teammate Jena Grover on the line. Hey, Jena, are you there? Oh, she looks kind of frozen. I think maybe she's not there. So, well, she'll be back.
I am, but I'm barely hanging on. This doggone.
I hear ya. Well, don't you worry about it much, because we've got a fantastic guest. We've got Baldemar Galvan Jr. joining us from Texas tonight, and we met him in Virginia at the ECBRO Virginia Bigfoot Conference last summer, and it was just such a fabulous time. He was one of the other speakers at the convention, so it was really great to meet Baldemar, and I'm going to ask Baldemar to move his thing down a little bit so we can see more of his face on the video. And welcome, Baldemar, to the show. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. You know, I asked you a little bit about getting ready for the show, and you were going to tell us about your Bigfoot encounter, seeing Bigfoot. Was that right there in Texas?
Yes, ma'am, it was. It was in a small town called Normanna, Texas. And Normanna is an area that I basically grew up as a child. And you know, when we were small, we always heard strange things down the creeks and everything like that. And, you know, we always thought that there were like these legendary monsters called the Lechuza. That's what we called it down here. And then we would actually hear screams and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that we grew up with. And and then all of a sudden, as we got older, and we always thought, hey, there's something here a little bit different out here. And then I actually had my encounter on October of 2013. A friend of mine we were actually patrolling the ranch, and came across the sendero. And sure enough, it's standing 40 yards away. Here's this big old black hairy thing, and didn't know what it was. Didn't even think it was a Bigfoot, to be honest with you at first. But because things come to your mind when you first see it, it's not this, it's not that, you know, blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, you know, this creature just took off quick, lightning. It was there 1 second and gone the next. And then I contacted when I saw it, and contacted some old timers. Those are the best ones to have the history about stuff that happens down these creeks, and they referred me to a friend of mine by the name of Mr. Ravi, and he actually had pictures of a house of Bigfoot that was actually found in Berkeley, Texas. And then I decided to have a Bigfoot meeting just to see how many people would show up. It was just a little test, you know. I didn't think if anybody else would show up, just word of mouth. And sure enough, the very first meeting that I had, 6 people showed up. And they were telling me their encounters about what actually happened to them. And the earliest encounter that I got that day was in 1924. And then all of a sudden, everything came falling down just perfectly. News team came out and did a story. I had a positive feedback, some negative feedback. You know, it just comes with the territory. So it wasn't even the good always overpowered the bad. So I kept on doing my little research here and there, collecting stories, and and that's how I got to the point I am right now.
Oh, very cool. So how long ago was it that you saw Bigfoot?
It was around 2013, so maybe it was 2013. Yes, ma'am. It was 2013, so.
Okay, that sounds good. Can you tell us a little bit about where you live and your background? Because you're a Native American, and I don't think we covered, I think that's important to talk about, the connection between the Native peoples and Bigfoot. And I think it's something that's pretty universal with every tribe that I encounter
Right.
and talk to.
Well, the dealing with Bigfoot out here, like out here, I was always raised to respect the night because that's basically is their time, and it's basically the night of the spirits. That's just their time. Our time is the daytime. Theirs are at night. So they always warned us as kids about not to travel down the creeks at night. If not, something was going to happen to us, or we'll see something at night, or we'll see El Fantasma Negro, or we actually call it the Black Ghost. But we never knew that the Black Ghost was actually Bigfoot. So, so we just, a lot of folklores happen like that. So that's the way our traditions down here are basically consist of nothing but folklore.
Okay. So there were stories about this black ghost from your tribe?
No, it was basically the people out here. That's the people that I actually grew up with. So they actually talked about that a lot. So we never had a name for Bigfoot. We never did. And if we ever saw something like that down these creeks, or they saw something down this creek, they just never talked about it.
Okay.
So we just so normally what we do if we encounter something like that down the creeks, we leave behind an offering. Whether it's a piece of fruit or food, whatever we have, we just lay it down and just walk back out and just leave. So that's what we normally did, and it's basically a form of respect for the animal. So.
Did you ever go back and check to see if they took it?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, man. That's theirs. If he took it, fine. If some other animal took it, that's fine as well. Just as long as we left an offering behind, being respectful, and that's what being a Native American Indian is all about. Is basically respecting nature, and basically our people. And if your elders come up there and tell you something in secret, not to reveal your sources or stuff like that, you just have to keep it inside. Because there's a lot of stuff that my elders have told me that I have to keep inside a little bit. So, that's why we follow our traditions the way that we do.
Yes, very good, very good.
Mm-hmm.
So, which tribe are you from?
There's a band here called the Lepan Apaches. The band here was they were basically two bands of Lepans. One of them went to Oklahoma, and they actually became counted and stuff. And the other band stayed here, actually stayed behind. And that was what our family did. They basically stayed behind. So.
Okay. Very neat. I'm trying to get the chat room up and going too. I forgot about the chat room. Very awesome. So can you tell me a little bit about the research that you've been doing all these years? Do you have people that you go out researching with, or are you going solo? Tell me a little bit about what you've been doing. My
favorite thing is gathering stories. That is my favorite thing, because the thing when an encounter happens to somebody, and they come up there and they tell their story. And they come up there and they tell you in detail what actually happened to them, what they actually saw. And there's sometimes that they describe Bigfoot as down out here on the chest area having a white dot, white patch of hair. And I've never heard that before in any stories that I've heard. But I had a gentleman that actually saw it like around 60 yards away and described this thing to a T. And he was a non-believer. And he went out to his ranch one day and didn't see one. He actually saw two. and freaked him out because the animal ran so fast that he didn't have enough time to get his binoculars up to see it because the binoculars was actually on his chest. Couldn't even reach it up. Couldn't reach it up. To see this animal, and just walked over and took off. Walked over his gate, and the other one he didn't know where it went to. He just so he got freaked out and just took off. And then he actually found me and asked to let them know that he owed me a big apology. One of my family members, he wanted a big apology because he was a non-believer and he didn't believe anything that I said. And so he thought that we were just untruthful people, just reporting this to the news. But now he actually saw one for himself, and now he's a believer and he talks about it any chance he can.
Very cool. Very cool. Gotta love it when they come back around and say, "I'm sorry, you were right."
Yep.
That always feels good, doesn't it?
Yes, ma'am. It does.
Mm-hmm.
That's what our job is as researchers. We try our best to get the information out there. Actually, I actually met a young lady that I'm actually a maintenance man, and I was talking and I was showing her the stuff that I was doing tonight, and I'm hoping that she would be on the show tonight. I mean, watching our show, and so she was so interested in it. And because she follows, finding Bigfoot and all these stories about paranormal stuff and everything, and getting the young kids interested in something like that. And if you got if you turn one person around to something positive like this, we basically as researchers done our job.
Very cool. Very cool. I've been finding that a lot of the younger people are very interested in learning a little bit about this, and I think the show Finding Bigfoot really helped open the door to that. So thanks to those guys for doing that. But when I didn't tell people right away that I was looking into Bigfoot. I didn't tell my clients or anybody, I was working with that I was doing that right away because I didn't really believe in Bigfoot when I started researching Bigfoot.
No, Jen,
But,
you didn't even tell me. We're one of her best friends.
I didn't tell her either. I was checking it out, seeing what we found. I'm open-minded, but I was like, well, I don't know if I want to tell people I'm doing this. But my very first time out, we found evidence, and I was in shock. And then I was like, you gotta hear what happened. I was telling everybody, and so it was really, really exciting for me. And I got so hooked. I got so hooked on it. I just love doing it. So, and I think every time I talk to another Bigfoot researcher, they kind of talk about the same thing, that they love getting out there and seeing if they can find more evidence or have another encounter. So I'm kind of picking up that vibe from you too. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am. I got to tell you a story here, and where I messed up royally. And I had this person called me up and actually saw Bigfoot across the road. And then I'm a maintenance man, and I was always on calls and everything like that when he gave me a call. But he actually talked to Mr. Robbie, and Mr. Robbie went out there. And he showed him exactly where the Bigfoot crossed and everything. And then so he came up and he goes, "And is there anything else that no tracks, no nothing?" And he comes up and he tells me this: "We found hair on the barbed wire." I said, "Where is it?" And he comes up there and goes, "We didn't get it. We thought it was a piece of a cow's hair." And I'm going, man. So I went back out there to check if I could find at least a strand of hair like that. I could at least get some kind of evidence on it that it was there. And when I went back, it was gone. So, it was a missed opportunity. It was a missed opportunity, I know, and on my part. And, I should have asked him a little more, a little bit more detail. But I missed an opportunity. But I do have some hair samples here that I haven't sent off yet. But it was not from this area. But the hair sample that I got was this guy from Berkeley, Texas, gave me a call and found this big old footprint underneath his deer feeder. So, and it was raining pretty bad. And then the toes and everything like that were gone. All it was a big old puddle, but you could tell it was a big foot. So I went ahead and casted it, and I looked around, checking out the barbed wire where the animal actually went through and everything, and actually found some strands of hair. And I actually collected it, and I got them in tweezers. I didn't use my hands or anything like that. I have any oils on my hands, and I put them in some little envelopes. And to this day, they're inside my freezer. And I'm going to send those off pretty soon.
Awesome. Where do you choose to send your samples to?
There is a friend of mine actually gave me an address to a person up in Canada, and she basically does it for free. And all that you would have to do is just give information on how you encountered it and everything like that. So just write a little story about it, a little photo here and there, and so what they'll do, they actually test it, and they'll send you results back on your email, or actually send you a letter if you possibly send a letter or stamped envelope, and they'll send you some information back. So,
oh, well, I hope you'll share that information with us off the air, because we that's a good resource to have. So I hope you'll share that with us off the air.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. That's awesome. Oh boy. So, we were talking before we came on the show, and we were talking a little bit about whether or not there's a connection between what the Native American people often call the little people and Bigfoot. And so I wanted to ask you, do you think that there's a connection between these two types of beings?
It's real hard to say. I'm going to tell you like that because I don't know the facts. I'm a straight shooter. I'll tell you the way it is, because I'm not going to tell you things. I could let you know what I think, but it's not scientifically proven or nothing like that.
Okay.
I know that there are legends of little people. We actually call them duendes, and so that's what we believed in. Even as growing up, that's the stories that always came about dealing with the little people. So they basically take your stuff and hide it, and if you want them to return it back to you, so you give them something sweet. So.
Now, I know you said that you've encountered them, but have you seen them?
No. Little people, no.
Yeah.
But I've seen the little mischief and see what they do, and let me tell you one thing, they can really play with you hard. So
what do they do?
they'll I'll give you an example. The best thing is one day I could not find my car keys, and I know that I had my truck keys on the top of the table. And I looked everywhere around the house, and everything like that, and I'm just frustrated. So I said, you know what? He goes, I'm going to put a piece of candy out there and find out, this thing works or not. So I went up there and did my little offering. I said, hey, stop messing with me. Here's a little piece of candy. I want my keys back. And sure enough, I come back and looked all around the house. When I came back, sure enough, there on the table was my keys, and I couldn't explain it. So, and I blamed it as these little people.
So was the candy gone?
Be honest with you, I did, actually the candy was still there, but the keys were returned.
So when I've talked to other Native peoples from different tribes, a lot of times they explain to me that the candy is, or the food, whatever you put out there, is still technically there, but they take the energy or the essence of it. Is that kind of what your tribe says too? Exactly.
There's sometimes also too is we plant like trees in our yards, like peach trees and everything like that, to please the spirits, something sweet like that. They normally, they don't take it off the trees or anything like that themselves, like you said. It's theirs. As long as we show them that we respect the land and our surroundings, that's basically all that they really care about. If you come up there, if you are destructive to the land, if you do bad things to the land, if you do a lot of bad things to people, then it's basically karma. And there's sometimes, because you'll get yours at the end. So.
Very cool. Very cool. Mm-hmm. I believe in the little people. But I also have heard stories that there's some that can be more mischievous, and others that are extremely, extremely helpful. Does your tribe talk about the differences between those types of little people?
I got to tell you about my grandfather. And my grandfather, he was 4 foot 11, and he was a vaquero, and they called him the tallest man on the horse.
Okay.
And yeah, so he did the last cattle drive from Texas to Kansas on horseback, and he was going on this trail. He was coming back home, and he was going on this trail. And sure enough, he noticed that there was something wrong with his horse's front feet. So he went up there and he got off his horse, and sure enough, there was a rope that was actually tied onto his horse's feet. So he went up there and untied it, and he just tossed it aside and got back on his horse and took off. And then, sure enough, like 30 yards on the horse, sure enough, the horse's front feet were tied again. And so he comes down there and looked and she goes, "Man, this looks like the same rope." So he went up there and he grabbed the rope, untied it, and threw it further away. And then, sure enough, he went a few more yards, and sure enough, the horse's feet got tied up again. And he's going, "What in the world's going on?" So he comes up there and he unties the horse's feet and he throws it on the side. And sitting on this oak tree, there was actually a little man, a small little person. And he looked at him. He goes, "You're not going to tie my horse's feet again, are you?" The little man shook his head and just started laughing and shook his head and just went behind the tree.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Did he say what he looked like?
All he said, he was just a little man.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Those are awesome, fun stories. I know that I've encountered little people and I've seen them. And I've seen different kinds, and Jena and I have both seen them in the same location. And, I often wonder the kind of little people that we see might be connected to our ancestry too, because Jena's more apt to see gnomes. She sees gnomes, and gnomes are known to be connected to families of Scandinavian descent.
Right.
So I think that's interesting. And especially farmers of Scandinavian descent, and she comes from a farming family. So I think that's very interesting that has stayed true to her, that she's more apt to see the gnomes. And when I read into that, it said that the gnomes were often connected with farming families over there, and that when these families came over to America, they often came along with them. So I thought that was very interesting when Jena would see gnomes. So that was very, very cool. Very, very cool. I'm glad you're back, Jena.
Thank you. I've been having some issues, some internet problems. So I thought maybe if I moved around, it might work a little bit better.
Yes.
So hopefully. I keep seeing poor internet connection. So I'm like, all right, shut off the view so no one can see me running around here and see what I'm really wearing.
Oh, dear.
Oh, Lordy Patordy.
I see Jena's got some new jewelry on tonight. She makes the cutest Bigfoot jewelry. And I'm like, I want that. Although, what would I wear it with? That's a color I don't typically wear. But it's so cute. Very pink. Very, very cute. I see Baldemar's getting his setup rescheduled, reset up there. So we'll just visit for a little bit while we're going on here. I see Sherry is in the chat room, and she's talking about how the little people are very friendly and they're a little rough around the edges, but caring. And that's kind of what I've encountered too. Even when I've been called into places to help where they were perhaps having some issues with the little people, where they were causing trouble, I've been called into those areas and talked with them and made peace with them for these people, and kind of was a mediator, so to speak, and tried to figure out what was happening there that they didn't like, and told the people that were there, and tried tried to be that mediator and make peace between them, taught the people how to give them offerings and how to respect them. And it usually that takes care of the problem. So even if they are causing issues, sometimes you just need to go in there and see what is happening here. Are the people who are living there, are they doing something to offend them? Because you don't want to offend them. And a lot of times we don't know they were there first. So, you know, you have to realize you're moving into someone else's territory and maybe you didn't know that. So
I think there's a lot of people that don't understand that. A lot of people don't know. I didn't even know about being able to see gnomes until it actually happened. And, you know, and then finding that out about being Scandinavian and, you know, doing that research, it was like, oh, for cool. I love it. I mean, it's so neat to find out new information.
Even in, I think it's Iceland, they're a very progressive country. But I mean, they will literally change their plans to build roadways to avoid what if they find out there's the Holder folk, what they call the Holder folk. I think are they the Holder folk? The what they call the little people there, and they will literally change their whole building plans around an area as to not disturb them. So they're very respectful of that. And it's a very progressive contemporary country, but they really acknowledge that these little people exist and they do what they can to make sure there's no conflict. So I think that's amazing that they do that. You know, government is actually respecting that. So, you know, worth talking about for sure, because I don't see our government doing that. If they are, they're not doing it publicly.
Yeah, no doubt.
Who knows? Maybe they do it in private. They could be. It could be. You never know.
Are there a lot of people in the chat room tonight, Jen?
There's a few. There's a few. I made a mistake and didn't get in there right away because we were trying to figure out having some internet issues. So I wasn't in there right away, but I'm in there now. Okay. I'm in there now.
So we've all had internet problems tonight. I think it honestly down here it's because of the spring breakers. I forgot it was spring break until Monday. Every pool was full. I was like, who are these people? Why are they here? I mean, yeah, it's spring break. I forgot all about it. And I think they all use and suck up all of the electricity and all of the juice for internation.
You guys,
I just made up that word.
Both of you down in Texas. I'm up here in Minnesota. And the city of Fargo, North Dakota declared a state of emergency today for the rest of today and tomorrow. We're having an ice storm followed by hurricane force blizzard winds for tonight and tomorrow. So they're really worried about it. They closed everything.
Didn't they name this one?
I'm not sure. I don't know if they did.
Someone told me that it was named Tom. Either this one was named Tom or there was another one that was named Tom, but I'm not sure. I guess it's up to T now. They started at A, I think, this winter, and they're all the way up to T.
We've definitely had enough blizzards for the winter. I'm done with this. I'm ready to become a winter Texan like you, Jena.
Please. We'd have so much fun. We could go visit Baldemar.
There you go. I thought you two would get together and go squatching down there this year for sure, but you haven't. You're on mute, Jena.
I texted him and I didn't hear back from you. What was your excuse?
I'm a maintenance man. I'm forever working, and there's sometimes. And right now I had maybe like around 4 or 5 HD calls and everything like that, and I have to be with my property and stuff. And there's some days when there's some days I say we work Saturdays and Sundays, and it's totally busy. And yeah.
Time for watching.
No, ma'am. It's here in a few more, hopefully in a few more weeks, I'm going to have another Bigfoot meeting. There have been a lot of encounters out here recently, and so I'm trying to get with the eyewitnesses together and actually go up there and just talking about them.
Oh, good. Because you're definitely good at what you do. So, and I caught that television show that you were on. That was pretty cool. What was the name of that one?
It was called What on Earth?
Yeah, What on Earth? It was so good. I was like, oh, I know him. Oh, cool.
Where was it on? What was it on?
I sent it to you, Jen. I sent you the link.
You did?
I did.
You must have done it while I was working, because then I didn't look at it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that was pretty cool because the way everything turned out. We just finished doing the segment on TV here in Corpus Christi dealing with the Bigfoot sightings and stuff like that. And we had people went out there and actually were talked a little bit about it and stuff. And uh, and then once we did that, and then after that, a few weeks later, then the BBC the BBC contacted me, and they were saying something about that they had some footprints that they actually found in Blockholm County. If I could go down over there and check if I could identify them. And they were thinking that they could have been tracks to a Gigantopithecus track, and that's basically to me is a cousin of Bigfoot, or could possibly be the same creature. And for me to go over there and go find out what it is. And so I went up there, and I said, so they asked me if I want to do that. I said, sure, why not? The more publicity that we get for Bigfoot and Bigfoot research, the better. So I went up there, and my fiance, both, and I went up there and everything, and actually saw these tracks. These tracks were massive, and sure enough, what I was looking at was dinosaur tracks instead of Gigantopithecus tracks.
Dinosaur tracks.
Yes, ma'am.
On that note, we're going to have to take a break, and we're going to come back and ask you more about that. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. All right. Good job. So we're still recording on the video. And so everybody on the video, you get to see the behind the scenes stuff. So here we are. Everything's going well. You're doing well. If you want to, Baldemar, if you want to lower your camera just a little bit, perfect. That's good. That's good. That's perfect. I know when you're using a phone, it's harder to tell where your face is landing on there. Jena, you're good. You're on mute. So very
Face
good.
good.
You're good. You're good.
Okay.
Wonderful. So
Yay.
we're good.
The arms get tired.
I know.
So, yeah, I definitely like the computer, but I'm not kidding you. A lot of these people are using internet.
Gotcha. All right.
Anything else that you wanted me to talk about, or?
Well, I want to hear more about that show when we come back on the air, and about the dinosaur tracks. And I wish I would have seen that before we did the show. Yeah,
and then Burt Lancaster, I believe that's his name, Mr. Lancaster. Bill is going to do Native American and Bigfoot. He's going to be coming up here in the first week or second week of June, and they're going to do something with me down here as well.
Very nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Maybe I'll dress up for that.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, 30 seconds.
I just asked in the chat room if there's any questions for you, but we're going to come back and talk more about that show.
10. And roll.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm Jen Cruz, and this is the Journey Radio Show. When we are not live on the air like we are right now, you can find us at thejourneyradioshow.com. Or, hey, check us out on YouTube at SheSquatchers Official. We do upload our videos now from the show. That's a new thing recently, so you can check it out if you want to check out the behind the scenes. We're there, and you can see our faces and all that later if you'd like. So we're back to the show. We're the She-Squatchers. Find us at SheSquatchers.com, and please do like our Facebook page for all the most up-to-date things of who we're going to have on the show and what's going on with us if we're going to be in an event or something like that. We have a big schedule going on this year. And we're back with Baldemar Galvan Jr., and he's down in Texas. He's a Bigfoot researcher down there that we met in the state of Virginia last year when we were speaking at the ECBRO Virginia Bigfoot Conference. He was one of the fellow speakers that was there. Awesome guy to meet, and so much fun to get to know him and share what we've all found. That's one of my favorite things to do. And so I'm so sad I didn't get to see the show that Jena was talking about that Baldemar was just in. And you were telling us a little bit about the tracks before we went to the break. They thought they might be Bigfoot tracks, but you said they were dinosaur tracks?
Yes, they were. And the species, I forgot the name of it, but they were definitely dinosaur tracks, and went in the water and felt the edges of them and everything like that. It was totally fascinating. And then, and yeah, I mean, it was totally breathtaking.
And didn't they discover those by an aerial view?
Correct. See, what happened was apparently there was some type of storm or some kind of big old rainfall, and washed all these tracks up. And sure enough, they were there. They weren't there 1 minute, and after, I guess after the storm, they actually appeared. So it was, I mean, it was totally fascinating and breathtaking.
So were the tracks in stone, or how did that?
What was actually made of? It was made out of limestone. And when the dinosaurs walked on it, it was just like a prehistoric cement, and it just preserved them perfectly. And you could actually, when I was there, I could actually put my hands on there where their fingernails used to be at, and I just ran my hand all through. It was so smooth and everything. It was just breathtaking. And it was it was a big honor for them to ask me to do that. And so I said, man, and anytime you want for me to do anything, you call me up. I'll be happy to help you all out. So it was totally fascinating.
What an amazing experience. Did you feel anything, like as far as energy or just any kind of essence, anything?
I got to say something when I was there. And I actually found something as well when I was there that really threw everything out of proportion there. Even there was an area that would actually look like a sidewalk. And right down there, I could actually see a footprint of a human there. And so they didn't say this on the show, but you could actually see a human footprint on there. You could barely see the toenails and everything like that there on it, and you could actually see the arch of the foot and everything like that type deal. And then I actually got some water, try to wet it and everything like that, try to get it a little bit better view of it. So and then we actually went. My fiance and I actually marked it up there. She even got the dimensions of it. I think it was like 6 to 8 inches. I think it was. And and then after that there was, and I guess and then when I called the person back up there, and he goes, "Oh, those weren't human footprints." So I'm going, all right, because I know what I saw. And then because the thing is, the very first thing that came to my mind was dinosaurs and humans walking and basically together. But again, I'm not a scientist. I'm just familiar with tracks, and so that's, in my opinion, that's exactly what I thought they were. And then, but what was wild about this one was there was a smaller track, and you could actually see that it was actually it could have been the dad and the baby, or the mom and the baby, but there was actually little baby tracks there as well.
Okay, very cool. In the chat room, they're asking, did you get casts of these footprints?
No, of the dinosaurs or the human?
Either, any of them.
No, ma'am, I did not. And the thing was, dealing with the dinosaur tracks, it would have taken a whole bunch of plaster, and I really wasn't prepared or anything like that. But if I would have taken a sample from it or a plaster from it, again, you got to ask permission first from the landowner, and making sure that it's okay. You got to do everything basically in the right way. I cannot take my stuff out and say, "Hey, I'm going to make a cast of this." You have to ask permission first. That's the way I've always done it. And then if anybody's going to do something with stone, make sure that they actually put something on the bottom of there. For example, maybe like dishwashing soap in the bottom of it. And like that, you can actually gather some things to them. So I had a lot of stuff going on in my head that, casting, but it just was not my call, and I wasn't there for that.
Awesome. So somebody asked, are these living dinosaurs? But I think you kind of answered that a little bit, that they stepped in limestone and it was like a prehistoric cement. So did anyone decide how long ago the footprints were made? Did they have an estimate? They
were millions of years old. And the terrain there are just totally amazing. I mean, again, have you been up there to the San Antonio area down the hill country? It is nothing but limestone.
No, not in that area. I used to live in San Antonio at one time in my life, but I have never been down that in there. No, but if you ever go again, call me because it's only like so many hours away, please.
Jenna's
Alright.
there in the winter from like January until mid-April, so that's when
Wow.
she's there. down in the Texas swarm area. She escapes the winter coldness.
I do.
80 degrees today down here.
Wow, that's crazy. Jenna, was it that warm there?
No, it's usually always about 10 degrees cooler than it is in Houston. So you got lucky.
She's in Galveston on the
Yes.
island. Yeah. So I see Kat is in the chat room and she's asking about a GPS marking of an area where you found something. Anyone have any apps for that? And if nothing else, could you put a pin on a Google map for that? Do you know anything about that, Galvin?
I'll tell you what. If there is an area that you are going to research, there's always maps. And get your GPS. You know, just put them on your GPS and just put a pin on it, and then just put so just get your coordinates, put them down on your computer, and just find your little flags. I found this here. I found that there. I found this day, this here, and they should give you. You should have a date, time, and hour on it, and then so like that you could find this whatever you find and put a little flag on it. What is actually real good to do is do a timeline. A timeline is very, very important. Let's say, for example, that somebody saw. Let's say, for example, I'll give an example. Somebody saw a little miniature Bigfoot that stood like around 5 foot tall, crossing the road down in County Road 798, and this happened in January the 28th, and this time. So you come up there and you get your little flag, or get your map of the area, or even a paper map, and put a little flag on it, and you say, okay, this certain day, this certain time, this certain year, this happened here. And then so you keep on gathering your information and your stories, and you keep on putting little flags down. So Bigfoot was here in this time this year. 5 years ago he was here. 10 years ago he was here. And then all of a sudden you look back at your map and you start finding out exactly what his travel patterns were. On the 5 years ago, this is what he did. 2 years ago, this is what he did. So like that, maybe in the next time and next year or something like that, in this day and time, you know, he possibly might be there, and you could probably have that chance to catch him again. But again, you only have seconds, because this animal is so fast. He's so aware of his surroundings and everything. And then, so that's why it's important to have a timeline. I tell people, always put timelines on your, always put timelines up.
So do you publish these timelines at all, or do you just keep them for your own records?
Keep them for my own records. They're my. I mean, the thing, you know, we just can't. There's sometimes, you know, I have a little B County map, and I have little X's on my maps. And if you look at the map, there's one area where they normally hang out at, and because down these creeks, there's a lot of caves down here. And you know, the old ones talk about it, that they're so big that you could actually drive a car in one. And I have not found it yet. So,
I think it would be fascinating to explore caves. Maybe a little dangerous. You never know what's in there. But I think it would be fascinating.
I would love to go inside those caves. I have my whistle. Hashtag. I do have my whistle though. Yeah, I have my emergency animal whistle.
Yes, there you go. Well, who knows if that would do good in a cave or not. You know, what kind of critters could you encounter down there, Baldemar? Oh, he might be frozen.
Well, if I had to answer the question, I'm sure there would be a lot of snakes and bugs, and there's a lot of black recluse spiders down in Texas.
Brown?
Mm-hmm. No, black. Did I say black? Brown?
You
Black?
said black, but I only know of the brown recluse.
Oh, maybe it is a brown recluse. I don't know, but there's a lot of spiders down here, and it's pretty scary. It's like, "Ugh." But and we've got all the big animals up in the Midwest, but down here, I mean, other than the mosquitoes, but then again, like state bird, like you say, state bird.
Oh, the mosquitoes are state bird in
Yes,
Minnesota.
state bird. Oh, that was so funny. Do you
Oh,
remember that?
oh my
We
gosh, it
were
was crazy. We
we
came
were
up on
literally.
we
Well,
came
you
up
go
on
ahead.
swarms of mosquitoes that were breeding. It looked like patches of smoke. I was like, is that smoke? And then I realized those are bugs. Oh my gosh, they're mosquitoes. That's our state bird.
Yeah, but these things, state bird. No, but these things were like crazy. They looked like they were moving in waves. I mean, and they were beautiful to look at. But man, we didn't even dare open up our windows. We have that on video. In fact, do we have that video out somewhere online?
It's on Facebook. It's on our
Is it?
Facebook page somewhere. Um,
Pretty.
I recently discovered how to really use our YouTube channel, so I'm trying to upload more videos there as we go. But then we've uploaded more videos to our Facebook page than we have to YouTube. So we need to get on that, getting those other videos up. So we have videos of us driving on the minimum maintenance roads on Facebook. Those videos are so popular. I need to put those on YouTube. And really, nothing was going on. We're driving down these minimum maintenance roads. And, I used to drive past those signs that say travel at your own risk, minimum maintenance road. And I used to wonder what's down there. Well, now I drive an older vehicle. So it's like, hey, let's go. And
Down there.
hey, let's go. And I think a lot of people want to see what's down those roads and they don't dare drive them. But, a lot of times we have to stop and get out and move trees out of the way that have fallen in the road, or we get scratched up on the car. Or it's kind of like
Yeah.
those old car washes where the mops come up over your car, except when we're on these trails, sometimes it's the trees coming up over the car like those mops and those old car washes did. And so people can feel better to know that my vehicle is old and it's okay.
Yeah. You know what I think is the funniest thing when we go out there and we're videotaping, right? And we aren't even thinking about people watching this videotape. This is totally us, and we're sitting there just like, okay, yeah, maybe we should get out and move that stick, will you? I did it last time. We'll just go out and do it. Okay, fine. And we're just sitting there having conversations. Well, we don't think about anybody listening to these, and then we listen to them back. We're like, we sound so weird. It's like we sound just that one video. Oh my goodness.
Mhm. I think that we have lost Baldemar. I'm gonna see if I can add him back in because he's been gone for a little bit, so maybe he's having some trouble. Been kind of seeing if he's still there.
Well, this is real behind the scenes video because you're going to see me popping in and out, the problems with my internet, the problems with Baldemar's internet, and poor Jen going, huh. she always keeps it pretty nice and on the go, ready, Johnny on the spot. So she knows what to do in every situation.
This is why we have multiple people on the show at once, so that if somebody's having trouble, somebody else can keep on talking. So
Hey, I thought it was because you enjoyed having me on the show.
Well, that too.
Kidding.
Don't you feel better to be knowing that you're needed?
Yes.
See? Not just because I love you and I like to have you around, because I need you, Jena.
Everybody does. Oop, I almost sung. Ugh.
Yeah, don't be doing that now. Don't be doing
I'm
that.
not going to sing.
Yeah,
So
there
sorry.
you go.
That's one of the rules on this radio station, and I've accidentally done it before, and I'm so sorry, and I'm really trying hard not to do it because I always sing when I'm happy, so yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, it looks like Baldemar might have left us for the evening, and if he comes back, that's good, and if he doesn't, I was really excited to have him on the show tonight. Hopefully he'll come back again and share more with us, and I'm going to have to get that link to that show. What was the show called again, Jena, that he was on?
Oh, geez, Louise, I'd have to go look it up again. Oh, in the world or
What in the world? What on
The wor-
earth?
What?
Here, I found it. What on earth? Episode. It's season 4, episode 9 of Finding King Arthur. I don't know.
Yeah, it is on that one. It's the first probably 20 minutes is of him. And really cool, though. I mean, they show how the visual view of the footprints, and they say how at first they thought it was probably maybe Bigfoot, but then they called Baldemar, and he came in, and they said, "Dun dun dun! Here, it wasn't Bigfoot at all. It was, And I didn't realize, and I'm so glad we got to ask him about the prints, because I didn't realize it was in. They were so stable. I was wondering. I thought maybe this thing was still existing, and we had a whole nother animal creature to look for. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
now I know the truth.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll make sure to share that later on the website, and so that people can get that link. That would be awesome. So it's What on Earth, and it's season. I just said it a little bit ago. So yeah. We have about 8 minutes left of the show, and I'm so excited for Jena to come back home to Minnesota so we can hit the ground running and then go look for Bigfoot, because it's been a rough winter, and I'm ready for winter to be over and to get back out there.
I'm ready to go too, Jen. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. We have so many things planned for this year, and I tell you, people invite us to come and do and speak at events, and I think I've turned down 4 events already this year because we just couldn't fit it into our schedule, or we were already scheduled at something else for that same time. So, so it was definitely something that we couldn't. Keep talking, Jenna. I'm trying to.
Oh, sorry. All right. Anyway, what Jen was saying is, wow, we've been having an exciting year of people asking us to be at different events. And we really have. I mean, unfortunately, we haven't been able to say yes. Like she said, we can't say yes to everything. We have to also consider how much money it takes for us to get down there, too, as well. So, we always have to keep all of that in mind. And because we usually pay for everything ourselves, and that kind of gets spendy. But but just getting to go to these events is so incredible, because we get to meet all of these fabulous people, including a lot of the guests that we've had on the journey, which is fabulous.
I think it's right here.
So,
hey, Baldemar, are you back?
I am back. I got it on my laptop.
Hey, there you are. That's awesome. We can hear you. We just can't see you right now, but that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. I'm glad you got it back working again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we have like less than 7 minutes left of the show, so
I am so sorry about me
It's all
disappearing
good.
like this and technical difficulties.
it happens. It happens to
Yeah.
all of us every
Blame
once
it
in a
on the
while.
little people.
you should go get some candy, mister.
There
Yeah.
you go. There you go. I think sometimes technology just doesn't always work exactly correct the way it's supposed to, and that's okay, because that's life, I guess. That's life, I guess. So what are your plans, your upcoming plans? Anything new going on that you've got big plans for your research, or other than this interview for that documentary that the Lancasters are doing on the native connection to Bigfoot?
What I would love to do I have a lot of camping equipment, and there is an area where I have an area that where I heard that a certain gentleman had a whole bunch of encounters on, and the place that he actually saw the 2 Bigfoots, and he actually has some more encounters there, and I want to camp out there, and because every he burns trash out there, and when he burns the trash, something is there. There's sometimes that he comes up there and he gets kind of, in Spanish we call it ligando. That basically means that you could feel something staring at you, and the back of your neck just stands up. So that's what it happens there to him all the time. And there's sometimes he would normally go there like every other day, and now he goes over there like every 2 weeks. So, but I want to go out there camping one night and bring my equipment and everything like that, my tent out there. But I would what I would like to do is actually put barricade myself in some cattle panel, for example, and then put my tent down there, because again, you never know. Again, we don't know that much about Bigfoot, because we just don't know, what he'll do that you're in this area. What's he going to do to scare you off? This is my area, so what's he going to do to me again, as a researcher, you have to expect the unexpected. So my thing is camping out that night.
Do you think that we could really hide ourselves from Bigfoot? Because I don't think we can.
We cannot.
No.
He can hide himself from us, but for me, it's more like a protection thing, because I don't want him throwing something at me or affecting me, hitting me a certain way.
So when are you going to be doing this? Just curious.
Just curious. I don't know, because I got a lot of plans going on right now as well. My fiance is going to be moving to New York, so I mean, we definitely have a lot of plans going on.
Are you going to be moving to New York too?
Ma'am?
Are you moving to New York as well?
Yes, I am.
Wow!
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So so it's going to be, again, it's going to be. I had to take care of a lot of stuff here first before the big move. But again, it takes preparation and everything. Again, what's the thing is, again, is dealing with my fiance is important to me. So is my Bigfoot research, and so is my family. So I have to make sure that everything gets ironed out before before I go on. So
Definitely. You've got a good head on your shoulders, mister.
Thank you.
You keep that woman happy.
Yes, and she's right here too. So yeah.
Well, hello. I think I saw her a little bit on the video. So
hi, ladies.
Hello.
Do you go squatching with Baldemar?
When I can, yeah. I'm more into the ghost hunting and spiritual side of it. But yeah, and I'm usually the one he brings in to debunk things.
Gotcha.
I've got a little more of a scientific and critical eye than he does. He just gets so excited, and sometimes I always have to remind him, not everything is a Sasquatch, baby.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, cool meeting you. This is Jena, by the way.
Yeah, what's your name?
Hopefully once we get into New York, we'll all be able to meet up in Virginia.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love to meet you. That'd be awesome.
Where we're going to be in Western New York. And again, Western New York is a great squatching area as well. We're only about 45 minutes to an hour from Allegheny State Park. So a lot of open territory, a lot of good Bigfoot territory over there. And we're only about 6 hours away from where Daniel is. So
very cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're at the last.
It's going to be exciting.
We are at the last minute of the show, and I want to ask Baldemar, how can people find you online real quick?
You could find me. I have a page called B County Bigfoot Research. There's some stories up there, encounters that other people have and stuff like that. So anytime when anybody has an encounter, sees something, I'll just write it down, and I give them information for when the next meetings are going to be. So.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. And
thank you very much for having me. I really do appreciate it. And anytime you want a speaker, just go ahead and give me a call. I'll be happy to do so.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. We'll be excited to have you on another time. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. And please tune in next week on Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on Wednesday night for Dr. John Stamey will be joining us to talk about Bigfoot and the little people and all kinds of different fun stuff. So join us next week and keep it squatchy, everyone. We're the She-Squatchers signing out. Good night.
Good night.
Night.